Okay, and then I'm just going to share my screen, and we're going to go over the syllabus quickly. Okay. All right, so there's the home page, and let's just quickly go to the syllabus. Actually, let me get my chat window open here just in case. Okay. All right, very good. All right, so as I think I said in the welcome message, we kind of have a grader for this course. I'll be grading certain stuff, and he'll be grading other stuff. He'll be grading the easy stuff, basically. But we'll have to see. I essentially told the grader that I haven't done this yet, but there's really not that much to grade at this point. But on Piazza, I will put a little tag for grades that a little folder you can click on. I think Piazza calls them folder. I just call them tags. You can click on to let the grader know if you have any grading problems. But as he hasn't graded anything yet, I'm sure there's no problems yet. So we're going to be covering software engineering in this course, and I assume that everybody has had CS5004. You can look at the course objectives yourself. I did, like I mentioned in the welcome message, the first, well, actually, I don't know if I mentioned this in the welcome message, but really the first half of this course is focused on the first half of this course fairly closely covers a portion of Pressman. So we will be, reading Pressman, taking the Pressman quizzes. We'll be talking about agile development. We'll be talking about process models, and we'll be talking basically just about the general structure of a software engineering process model. So we'll be following that pretty closely for the first half of the course. The second half of the course is going to branch out a little bit. We're going to do some component design. We're going to dig into component design. We're going to dig into design patterns, and a lot of design in the second half of the course. And we'll also have one module that I'm not sure what it's going to be on yet. I've done functional programming, I've done formal methods in the past in that module, but we will kind of figure that out as we go. The course structure is going to be pretty much the same every week. Listen to the recording lectures, do the readings, participate in online discussions. So yeah, as you can see, there will be discussions every week. I think there might even be a software engineering discussion this week, and I see that some people have already posted to that, and that's great. So you will see that almost every week, which is that is one of my favorite parts of this course, because I get to hear from everybody else. The live Q&A sessions like this one, pretty much every Thursday at 8 p.m. Attendance is not mandatory, which is good, especially today. There's only a few people here. But if you don't attend, you should. The sessions will be recorded, so most of you now are listening to this on a recording. So yeah, you definitely want to listen. Today's kind of the exception. We're just going to cover the syllabus real quick. Everything I say is going to be here, but most other days we do something significant. I don't just take questions from people And if nobody has any questions, that's the end of the Q&A session. I almost always begin a project, talk about the project, talk about Piazza questions or the difficulty that people were having in the project. So those are mandatory to watch the recordings if you do not attend. What else? So the course requirements, primary text, yeah, this is another thing. I did mention this, software engineering by Roger Pressman. I see that there is a 9th edition coming. When the 9th edition of this book comes out, I'm going to have to do some real soul searching to figure out whether to use this book again. Like I mentioned in the welcome message, I have mixed feelings about this book. I think it is a nice breadth, kind of breadth-based overview of software engineering. I wouldn't take it to heart on any of the details in it. There's probably every detail in there you can find some, professional software engineer or software engineer researcher that would disagree with Pressman. But he does give a good broad picture of software engineering. I know that this book is I'm pretty sure that this book is no longer on Safari Books Online. We will not be reading from that, and I'm pretty sure I took that book out of the requirements. This book, Martin Fowler, is fantastic. I love this little book. It's weird because it's on UML, and while we are going to go over UML in this class, it's just got some really great tidbits about software engineering in general in this book. I think it's a fantastic book. Head First Design Patterns we'll be using a lot in the second half of the course, probably certainly for at least 2 weeks. Applying UML and patterns, we might be using that a little bit, not much. The design of everyday thing, I think that one is gone too from Safari Books Online. So I need to update these books. I'll make a note of that right now. Update books in syllabus. Yeah, Fowler's book is good. Yes, I really like Fowler's book. Okay, there's an original with Rumbaugh, Jacobson, and Booch. I will have to look at that. Those are good software engineering names. Yeah, that I know well. One book I don't think I've listed in here is it doesn't matter. We'll be using it. I will show you actually the home page is, yeah, when we start doing the component project 2, we start looking at Joshua Block, Effective Java. This is not a Java course, but there are really good software engineering tidbits in this book also. Even though it's focused on Java, but just because I know everybody has taken Java, this is a good book to read. It's a good book to skim. I wouldn't say it's a good book to read, but it's a good book to skim. And even in this lesson, I kind of say skim the following. Just kind of make sure you know these main best practice points for Java. That is weird. Okay, so I must actually, I'm going to do this. Just keep hitting the back button and getting there. Okay, so let's look at the syllabus again. Assessments and grading, these are pretty close to what it will be. There might be some tweaking. I might do some tweaking of this. Communications and discussions. For the graded discussions are pretty easy. Just, say a few sentences about the topic. If you respond to somebody's post, that is a legitimate post. I'll post a couple suggested topics, but as long as you post something that is relevant to what we talked about that week, that is considered a legitimate post. And the suggested topics, you can ignore all those suggested topics as long as your comment is relevant to what we covered that week. That is fine. Or you can pick one of the suggested topics. That is fine. Okay. Piazza discussion board, this is where all the magic happens. This is where we talk about the projects and have questions about the projects. Typically, we won't have exam discussions or, you know, sometimes we'll have other discussions, but mostly it's the project discussions. That's where all the Q&A happens, okay? In general, don't post code. If you have like something like a null pointer exception, yes, post the line of code where you got the null pointer exception. Or if you have like 3 lines of code that you think the problem is there, then post those 3 lines of code. That's not a big deal. Just don't post a bunch of code and say, folks, can you help me track down this problem, okay? Try to describe your problem, describe what's happening, focus on the problem, and if you have a few snippets of code related to that problem, you can post them, but really try to focus on the problem. Try to, even if you do have code, sometimes it's good to try to figure out how to explain what you think is happening in English. And it's amazing. Sometimes people will start explaining a problem in Piazza, and once they start explaining the problem, they will magically find the solution themselves. So that has happened several times. That has happened many times in the past. So it's good to get into the habit. Netiquette, this will come into play. Just follow the rules of netiquette. We never really had a significant problem with this before in any of my classes, but just be considerate of people. This will come into play. I think we do some. Oh yeah, we do peer reviews for the video presentation project. So this will come into play there. You want to be. You want to say what you like and what you don't necessarily like about somebody's project, or more appropriate way to say that would be what you like and what maybe they could have done better. So just be considerate and be constructive in any criticism you have. So course support, the big thing here is if you have any accommodations for special needs, please let me know as soon as possible, preferably in this first week of classes, so I can make allowances. Okay, so let's go to the home page. And take a look at, let's take a look. You can see that before the midterm, a lot of this stuff relies on Pressman's. These Pressman quizzes are ungraded. They are there but just because something is ungraded doesn't mean it's not mandatory. You should take the Pressman quizzes. In this case, you will see these same questions on the midterm and the final. Either the same questions or a variation of some of those Pressman questions. So make sure you do take those Pressman quizzes, and if you have any questions about them, ask on Piazza. And there is like a button that says email your professor your solution. I don't want you to email anything. So in fact, as I mentioned in the welcome message, I'd much rather you then email me, send me a message on Piazza. Okay, so what else? This is Pressman. This is Pressman. A lot of this is Pressman. Some of this starts to get into programming and Joshua Block. And yeah, and then here's where we take the midterm. And then there's even a, you know, we won't stop for the midterm. We'll just keep plowing through with modules. There are 4 projects in this course. You can see next week, we're going to start talking about the first project, refactoring. You have plenty of time to do them, but there's a caveat there. You have plenty of time to do them if you get started early. If you get started late, you can definitely find yourself trying to play catch up and maybe pulling an all-nighter or two. You have to really start on these projects quite soon after they're released. So project 1, a lot of programming. Project 2, a significant amount of programming. Project 2 may have more than Project 1. Project 1 is actually, I'm going to give you some code and you're going to have to modify a lot of that code and extend that code too. Project 2, I'm just going to give you an interface and you're going to have to write all the code to that. And project 3 is the fun project. That's the video presentation. And if you've never done a video presentation before, it's a lot of fun, but it can be a lot of work. Just getting it right and getting it to sound good. Okay, it's different from doing a presentation where you get up in front of a class and say things. You pretty much have to script things out on a video presentation. If you have a bunch of slides and you get up in front of a bunch of people, you don't really have to have a script. You might have notes with you, bullet points or something, but you can usually look at your slide and then just start talking about the slides. And if people have questions, they can just ask along the way. And it's usually a good atmosphere. In a video presentation, you have to be a little bit more prepared ahead of time. Okay, so that one will be good. And then the last one is on design patterns. Okay. So yeah, that's it. 4 big projects, a lot of discussions, and quite a bit of reading. The only thing I want to go over here is submitting to Webcast. And let's see. And Steve said, how do the Safari Books Online work? Are we able to read the entire book? Yes, so here's my Safari Books Online link. It's to, all the links should be to VT Safari, so if you are signed in with your VT account, you should be able to see all this stuff. So actually, let me just go here and click on one of these. And I might have to tweak some of these videos because lynda.com has now become LinkedIn Learning. So I might have to tweak the links to some of the videos. But let's see if I have. Actually, this one should go to Safari Books Online. Yep, there you go. There's Safari Books Online. And the whole book, as you can see, is available. So yes, and as long as you are students, or as long as you are Virginia Tech students, basically. Yeah, once you're no longer a student, I don't think you'll be able to access these. Okay. Yeah, a great resource, and LinkedIn Learning is a great resource as well. Some of these links are live, although blue means I'm not. A blue link means I'm not guaranteeing anything. I'm not even guaranteeing this link will appear when by the next week. Okay, so this is week to week. I might change some of these links. But I'm not sure what that will go to. Yeah, this is going to LinkedIn Learning.
First up, the classic.
All right, so that's good that those go from lynda.com right into LinkedIn Learning. Okay, and that's all right. So before I call it a night, let's look at submitting to Webcam. Okay, and let me get, I'm going to open up Eclipse. And I don't want you to ask again. And I don't really want to see this welcome screen again. Let's see, always show welcome at startup. No. Go right to the workbench. And so I've already got my project 0 done here. And what I want to show you is I want to show you actually how to submit to Webcam manually. Because honestly, anytime on Piazza, somebody has a problem with submitting to Webcam. So I'm going to trash this. I did this before. Anytime anybody has a problem submitting to Webcam, the first thing I answer is, can you submit manually? Okay. I never submit through Eclipse. I don't even have Webcam set up through Eclipse. So I just always submit manually. So almost in every project we do, I always separate the program source from the test source. So, but they will have the same packages. And every project we do in this class, there will be, one package, okay, or one overreaching package, one root package, I guess. So for submitting to Webcam, first of all, you should have some folder. I called mine Webcam Submit, but you don't have to call it Webcam Submit. But you have to have some folder where you're going to place the root package in. Okay, so my root package is called message, so I'm going to create a message folder there. We're going to bring it over here. So you can see there's only 2 files. And I think in Eclipse on Mac, if you just drop them, all right, maybe I have to hold down the Alt key to make sure I'm copying. Okay, where did my folder go? Okay, let's try that again. Okay, there's my message folder. Okay, I'm going to hold down the Alt key and drag that into there. Hold down the Alt key, and that's how you copy on Mac. I can't remember what it is on Windows, but I think that's pretty close to the same. Okay, so that's it. I've just got this folder with my package name, and I've got my test files and my production files in the same folder. Okay, and that's what you want. And then you actually zip up this Webcam Submit folder. You don't zip the message folder. I've tried that before, and for some reason Webcam does not like this. So you compress or zip up this. Okay, and the same thing on Windows. You have this outer folder. That seems to work better. So now I've got this Webcam Submit.zip folder here, and I should be able to just, okay, so there's cs5704, and I apologize. Thank everyone for letting me know on Piazza about the problems with submitting. First I didn't have this up, and then I had the dates wrong on that. So now it looks like people are able to submit. So your homepage is not going to look like this, but you should be able to see cs5704 project 0, okay? And then you just hit the submit button for that, and then it'll ask you if you want to browse your computer. So you upload the zip file, open it, and then hit upload submission. It'll ask you, it'll show you the files inside there, and then you confirm. And that's pretty much it. And I assume, since if you haven't taken 5044 recently, I know a lot of people just came right from 5044. You know, we can talk more about WebCat grading. We won't be using WebCat we will be using WebCat for the first 2 assignments. I don't think we'll be using it for the 4th assignment. But I mean, for this one, it's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, we didn't check anything with coverage, so the correctness score is 5 out of 5. Okay, and if anybody in the future has any questions about interpreting WebCat results, I mean, this is not a good example to use for that, because we're not really interpreting our tests. Actually, let me see. So it did actually run the tests. Okay, I've got 2 tests in there that it did run. Yep, submit as many times as you like. Absolutely. So as soon as it opens up, some of the projects, like Project 2, well, Project 1 and Project 2 that use WebCat, I'll probably delay, you know, opening up WebCat. But I mean, you'll have at least, you know, 2 weeks. You know, most of the projects are 3 weeks. At least 2 of those weeks you'll have to submit as many times as you like. Okay. But as I mentioned, you know, this really won't just be, did you pass the test? Project 2 is kind of more mostly, did you pass the test? But Project 1 is definitely, that's a refactoring project. So all the tests pass initially. So you certainly have to pass the tests and make sure the tests remain passed. But in that project, I'm going to be looking at the design of your code, okay? And did you refactor correctly, as well as did you pass the test, okay? So it's not going to be, you know, 50. It's not just going to be a, you know, 5044 on steroids. It's quite different from 5044. It's a lot about the design of your code and what it looks like, and some of these software engineering concepts. Okay. And that's pretty much it. So any questions from the couple of people that are here? Yeah, we'll get into the good stuff next week when we start talking about Project 1. Okay. Project 0 is just to make sure that you know, make sure that I put the projects on onto WebCat correctly. So I think I got that working now. All right, folks. Well, I think that's going to be it. Have a great, what is this, Labor Day? Yeah. Have a great Labor Day weekend. Careful on the roads out there. And if you're in Virginia, you might not want to pick tomorrow to, if you're in Northern Virginia, you might not want to pick tomorrow to go over the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. So that thing's going to be packed. Okay, folks, have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Piazza, and we'll see you online.